Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of Season 3, Episode 40 of Lucha Underground. And this is Part 4 of Ultima Lucha Tres. And, I've held it off on this review since last October, since 4 months ago. Couldn't review this part because the week that this finale aired, Verizon Fios actually took off El Rey Network because Univision wanted more money. So Verizon Fios had to negotiate with them in order to keep their Univision channels on Fios. So I couldn't watch that. I couldn't watch this finale because of that. Which sucked and really pissed me off. So, I held it off. I held this review off because of that. And I finally decided to watch it today. And this finale was actually 2 hours when it aired. And if you haven't checked out my 3 parts, because I reviewed Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3 of Ultima Lucha Tres, which I reviewed when it was still going on. So I'm going to leave links in the description down below if you haven't checked out my review of Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. So like I said, it'll be down in the description. So, but as I say, this Part 4, this final part of Ultima Lucha Tres, I really enjoyed it. It was a good show. As always, it was a good finale to Season 3 of Lucha Underground. And the show kicked off with El Dragon Azteca Jr. versus Matanza. This was in a steel cage match. And this was a decent cage match. Wasn't one of the best matches of Ultima Lucha Tres, but like I said, it was decent. I mean, El Dragon Azteca Jr. and Matanza, they were, going back and forth. You had at one point where Matanza actually suplexed El Dragon Azteca through the cage, and El Dragon Azteca landed on the floor. And we all thought that it was going to be the end of the match because, you have to, both of you have to hit the floor in order to win the match. So, but Dario Cueto ended up saying that, the match is not over. And he ends up restarting the match. And, he has to say, oh, yeah, I got to win by pinfall or submission now. And so, Matanza and El Dragon Azteca, they start battling again. Matanza ends up being down on El Dragon Azteca. El Dragon Azteca hits a tornado DDT to Matanza on the floor. And then he goes for Dario Cueto, and he ends up ripping his tux. El Dragon Azteca ends up ripping Dario's tux off. And that gave Matanza to make the save. They end up going back in the ring. Matanza actually then rips away at El Dragon Azteca's mask. And the match ended with Black Lotus returning, and she ends up climbing on top of the cage. She hits a high cross off the cage, landing onto El Dragon Azteca. Matanza then hits his finisher, the Wrath of the Gods, to El Dragon Azteca to score the win. And so Matanza ends up winning the match. After the match, Black Lotus ends up attacking Matanza, and she tries to go after Dario, who Dario admits that that he lied to her because Matanza was the one that killed the original Dragon Azteca, and it's also revealed that he lied about who actually killed Black Lotus's parents, and it then led to Matanza laying her out. And Matanza standing tall. So, but cage match, like I said, it was decent, but it wasn't one of the best matches of Ultima Lucha Tres. So, but it was decent. They put on a decent match, El Dragon Azteca and Matanza. And then after Lucha Underground came back from commercial, we got onto the second match. It was Cage versus Mil Muertes versus Jeremiah Crane. This was for the Gauntlet, and the Gauntlet that Cage carried around. And Dario Cueto ends up coming out, and he talks about the Gauntlet, and this was supposed to be a three-way, but Dario ended up making it an elimination match. And this match was really good. It was really brutal. It was blood, blood all around on them. Jeremiah Crane was the one who actually bled really badly because there was trash cans around, and Jeremiah Crane was bloody, blood all on the face. There was a part in the match where Jeremiah Crane actually stuck these wooden stakes into the head of Cage, like right here, and Cage was busted open. He had blood like dripping from his head, and it was just crazy. Jeremiah Crane actually ended up getting a hammer and also a pane of glass that he bought out. He ended up slamming Mil Muertes through the glass, and out of nowhere he had Mil Muertes get back up, which was crazy. And we saw Muertes' arm was bleeding badly because of that. Then we had Cage beat it on Mil Muertes with the hammer, and he ended up laying him on tables. Cage actually superplexed Jeremiah Crane onto Mil Muertes through the tables, which was really awesome. And back in the ring, Cage actually eliminated Jeremiah Crane by hitting the Weapon X on him, his finisher. And so it was down to Cage versus Mil Muertes. And went to commercial. Then when it came back from commercial, we just saw Cage and Mil Muertes just kicking the shit out of each other. They were beating up each other like crazy. You had the end of the match. Mil Muertes ended up hitting his finisher on Cage, the flatliner, for the win. And so Mil Muertes ends up winning the match. Mil Muertes actually, gets the Gauntlet because we saw Dario Cueto ended up bringing out the Gauntlet. Katrina was also out there. She gave it to Mil Muertes. But an unexpected return, King Cuerno, I think that's how you pronounce his name, he returns and attacks Mil Muertes. And he actually ends up taking the Gauntlet as his trophy. And if you saw this is how you make an unexpected return. And it was just really cool. And then he's looking for revenge from season 2, which I didn't even check out, but I've heard some people say this is King Cuerno's revenge on Mil Muertes from last season of Lucha Underground, from season 2. Yeah, this Gauntlet elimination match, it was good. It was really extreme, really bloody, and it was very brutal match, gotta say. But it was very enjoyable and crazy. And then we had the Johnny Mundo documentary footage that Taya was filming earlier in the season, and it was really cool. It was a really cool little documentary for Johnny Mundo, just from the footage. And then led into the match, which was Johnny Mundo versus Prince Puma for the Lucha Underground title, also the career, because it was Lucha Underground career versus title match. And this match was another good match. Absolutely good match. Both of them were going back and forth. You had the Worldwide Underground come out, and try to take out Prince Puma. At one point, Puma actually ended up kicking the ref, the first ref in the match. And that led to Jack Evans and PJ Black coming out. They end up laying out Prince Puma. And then all three guys, Mundo, Evans, and Black, they triple teamed Prince Puma. Taya ended up coming out, and she ended up bringing out another referee for the match. Puma then kicked out of that after Mundo and Evans and Black triple teamed him, which was crazy. Mundo actually ended up slapping the new ref that was brought in, and they all beat down on that ref. Then we just see Taya end up taking chairs in it, so putting chairs in the match, giving it to Mundo, and there was PJ Black or Jack Evans, but Angelico makes his return, and he ends up making a save and getting revenge on the Worldwide Underground because the Worldwide Underground ended up injuring him, keeping him out for like 5 months. And we saw Angelico then hit a dive to them outside. And then what was really funny was I had to watch this a lot of times because it was just so funny. You had the ref that was put in that Taya brought out. He did a dive and took out the Worldwide Underground. It was just really funny. And then you saw Puma hitting the springboard 450 on Mundo, which we all thought the match was going to be over, but Mundo ended up kicking out of it. Then we saw Angelico take out Ricky Mundo, and he ended up chasing away the Worldwide Underground. So they went to a commercial. The Lucha Underground went to commercial. Then it came back, and we saw just Puma and Mundo going back at it. What was really crazy was Mundo actually ended up hitting his finisher at the end of the world 2 times on Puma, and Puma actually kicked out of it, which was amazing. And Puma ended up hitting the 630 on Mundo to score the win, and so Prince Puma won the match. He becomes the new Lucha Underground champion. He actually won. This is actually his second win. That he won for the Lucha Underground title, because this actually made him a 2-time Lucha Underground champion. And then after the match, Dario Cueto ends up coming out, just destroying, the celebration to fuck up to the festivities. And he congratulates Puma for still having a career. And he says the night is not over because there is one more match. And so Lucha Underground goes to commercial. Then when it came back, Dario announces that Puma will face the Gift of the Gods winner, who was Pentagon Dark. And he actually ends up saying that both of their careers are on the line. So whoever wins the match is the new Lucha Underground champion, and whoever loses, is out of Lucha Underground. So their career in Lucha Underground is over. So this was the main event, Prince Puma versus Pentagon Dark, and this match was really good. It was a very well done match. Just Puma and Pentagon going at it. And he had Pentagon actually, breaking Puma's arm, and Puma comes in. I mean, Puma actually tapes up his arm. Tapes his arm back up, and because he has the whole tape on his arm during the match, and Pentagon, just starts to kick the hell out of Puma, and at the end of the match, you had Vampiro, was down there. He ends up pulling Pentagon Dark out of the way because Puma was going to hit the 630 on Pentagon. And so, by the way, the crowd was behind Pentagon Dark through this match. And the match ended with Pentagon Dark hitting the package pile driver on Prince Puma to score the win. And so Pentagon Dark is the new Lucha Underground champion, and Prince Puma has to leave, Lucha Underground. So, but it was a good match, very well done match. I really liked the flow of it. Didn't expect Vampiro to pull Pentagon Dark, out of the way, because Vampiro actually looked up to Prince Puma, but he was just setting up Prince Puma all along. So, but I know that it was the fans, the crowd wanted to have Pentagon Dark win, and to have this match. So, but although it was a good main event, and it was very well done, very well done match. I mean, these two guys, just was beating the hell out of each other. So, and then we had some post scenes, scenes after the match. We had the first one we had was we saw Vampiro and Pentagon, celebrating, and Pentagon Dark after the match, cuts a promo saying that he is Lucha Underground champion, and that this is his temple, because it was all in subtitles because he was speaking Spanish. So, and then we saw Prince Puma. It was like a cinematic scene where we saw Prince Puma leaving. He ends up removing his mask as he exited the temple. And then another scene we saw was King Cuerno. He has the Gauntlet in his Hunter's Trophy room. So we saw that. And so this is all these scenes are probably leading up to the new season, to season 4. So, because then we saw Sexy Star. She does a press conference, and we see this little girl bring her like a box, and saying, the girl says to Sexy Star, saying that she hasn't forgotten about you. And Sexy Star opens the box, and there's a spider in it. And pretty much that ended that scene. We saw the Rabbit Tribe. They were still trying to to worship Masquerita Sagrada. So that was another scene. Then we saw Phoenix and Melissa Santos leave in Phoenix's car. Katrina walks in the background with Jeremiah Crane. They were both watching. We saw Daga with the sword, and he takes his place as Cobra Moon's queen, because Drago was still in prison, and Pindar is now killed because for losing the trios titles. And then we saw Vampiro. He was with his master. His master says to Vampiro that he's done well in getting rid of Prince Puma. And we actually find out that Rey Mysterio is still alive, which this was done like a couple of months back, because I know when they air Lucha Underground, they finish it off, and the season, the season is still going once after they finish the whole season. which, you know, Rey Mysterio, of course, was in the 2018 Royal Rumble. So, you know, this, you know, so maybe from what I heard, you know, Rey Mysterio, they're still trying to get Rey Mysterio to come back to WWE to sign him, but who knows what's happening with that. I mean, they're trying to get Mysterio to come back into the WWE. So I don't know what's going on with that. And then we saw Dario Cueto was in his office. You know, he says to this guy that he promises to get the Gauntlet back, but this guy ends up telling him, you know, not to worry about it. This guy actually, you know, shoots Dario. And he ends up saying, you know, new management will take care of it and all of Dario's mistakes. And so then we see, you know, Dario is still alive. He ends up grabbing his phone. You know, he tries to dial, like probably somebody he knows. He tries to dial it, and then he ends up passing out. And so all you just hear is a tone on the phone. And then it says, to be continued on it. So this is pretty much leaving us on a cliffhanger for season 4, which will be this year. They haven't fully announced a date yet for season 4, but they actually did end up showing a new location for this season, for the new season, for season 4, which looks pretty cool. Still gonna be in California, but the new location for the new season, season 4, actually looks really cool. So, but anyways, this Ultima Lucha Tres finale for season 3, very good show, very good way to end the season, and this whole cliffhanger, you know, is leaving me with, oh, what's going to happen now, you know, with the opener to season 4 whenever it airs. So, but, yeah, so anyways, that's it for my review of Lucha Underground Season 3, Episode 40, Ultima Lucha Tres, Part 4. Thank you all for watching, and if you haven't, like I said, if you haven't checked out 3 parts of Ultima Lucha Tres that I reviewed, back in when it was airing. Links will be in the description down below. So, but yeah. So, anyways, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned tomorrow night for my Raw review. So that will be happening tomorrow night. So I'll see you all here tomorrow night. Bye, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Bye.